Mike Amesbury is standing down as an MP, triggering a massive by-election in Runcorn and Helsby. The disgraced Labour MP has told the BBC he will step aside at the earliest opportunity after he was given a suspended 10-week prison sentence for punching a man in the street. Amesbury pleaded guilty in January to assaulting constituent 45-year-old Paul Fellows after a row in the street in Cheshire in the early hours of October the 26th.
Let's get more reaction now to the breaking news that the former Labour MP Mike Amesbury has said that he will step aside at the earliest opportunity after he was given a suspended 10-week prison sentence for punching a man in the street. Well, stepping into the ring now is GBNews' political editor Chris Hope, who joins me live from Westminster. Chris, a knockout blow for the career of Mike Amesbury, but an opportunity now. Surely this means a by-election will be in the offing.
It does indeed, Martin. Welcome back to College Green outside Westminster. This is a seat up in Runcorn and Helsby. The MP was Mike Amesbury, of course. Now, he was found guilty of punching one of his constituents. He was given a 10-week prison sentence, suspended for 2 years. He did spend 3 days inside jail. His first interview with local television, the BBC, he has said in terms that he is now going to stand down as an MP. He's currently winding up his office, doing redundancy programmes for staff there. But that means there will be a by-election shortly, in a few months' time, in this Runcorn seat. It was won by Amesbury back in July last year with a majority of 14,696. Guess who was second? Reform UK. Reform UK will be looking at this, licking their lips, despite all the problems they've got with the current he said, she said battle between Rupert Lowe and other senior members of the party. This is what matters, adding more MPs to that party.
I wonder on that point, Chris Hope, an excellent point. Do you think they might be regretting now their own political punch-up, their own political scrap? You know, the business of winning seats now awakes, and instead they're fighting each other, not their political opponents.
It's totally. It is. I think it does seem to me to be a bit ridiculous they're falling out over this. I've been talking to senior people in Reform UK. They say there is no way back for Rupert Lowe. It's gone. That's ended. And there's no off ramp, as they say in politics. No way back in. It's gone because of what he's been saying on Twitter in this big row. Rupert Lowe denies all wrongdoing. There's a KC investigating. Thousands of pounds being spent of people. I mean, a lot of viewers and listeners of GB News have followed Reform UK. They've bought into, I think, the opportunity to overturn the establishment, the place behind me, the kind of the organised two-party system. They are despairing. If you look at our feedback in our inboxes, Martin, as I'm sure you're seeing, this party's inability to hold it together. This should be an opportunity to add another MP to their number. Instead, they'll simply be trying to make up ground for the lost opportunity of losing Rupert Lowe.
Now, because all eyes will be on this by-election, and as you know, Chris, by-elections are very expensive. They take a lot of manpower, they take a lot of motivation, they take a united party with a decent bankroll. And I wonder, again, going back to our previous point, by-elections need people to be like a coiled cobra, ready to spring into action, well-funded. The Labour Party have said right at the outset they want another Labour MP in this seat. They'll be gunning for this seat. Does Reform, can it rise to the challenge? As second place in the previous election, many were thinking the bookies' favourite to take this by-election. Can they overcome this squabble, their own ringside drama, and get in there and fight and win?
Well, it's a 3 or 4 year wait to the next election. I think they probably can do. I think that I don't know why they can't settle this between each other like grown-ups. Rupert Lowe and Zia Youssef, the chairman, and Nigel Farage is the leader, of course. It just seems a distraction, frankly, to their job, which is to try and challenge the establishment, the parties in Westminster, the ones who have run the system for the past century or so. But instead, it's a distraction. But going back, it may well be that they can get past it and fight fight to win this seat up in Runcorn and Helsby. Certainly a 15,000, give or take, majority for Labour is not safe, I think, looking at the polls. But in just the past 2 weeks, though, with what's happening in Ukraine, Sir Keir Starmer's strong showing on the international stage, that could tip the balance back towards Labour. But we are facing a very difficult spending round coming up, and then a forecast in the summer, a bad, difficult forecast later this month, and of course lots of tax rises going up and the cost of living getting worse, not easier, next month. So although Labour's doing well on the international stage, I think domestically it's still not proven. There's opportunity here for Reform UK, if only they can get their act together, frankly.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's our own political heavyweight there, live from Westminster, Chris Hope. Thank you very, very much for joining us on the show. Before we talk about the disaster, the near miss of disaster, anyhow, off the coast of your constituency, could I please ask you for your reaction to a breaking news story just happened, and that's the ex-Labour Member of Parliament, Mike Amesbury for Runcorn, just announced he would like to stand down at the earliest possible opportunity.
Well, I'm obviously very sad for Mike personally, but I think it's the right decision, and we need to get this by-election underway as quickly as possible and get back to the job and the focus of being in government.
Okay, thank you very much for your reaction to that. I want to ask you about something else happened today, and that is Mike Amesbury, of course, the Runcorn Rocky, as he's been called. He said to the BBC, again only a couple of hours ago, he intends to stand aside as soon as is possible. That, surely as night follows day, will entail a by-election coming up, a by-election that many people fancied Reform could have a good nibble at. They came second in the general election. Might this current contretemps amongst Reform MPs impact that?
It was always a massive hill to climb. I think Labour got 53% and Reform was second on 18. That's a huge hill. That's a mountain. So it's put a couple of yards on the top of that mountain, quite possibly. But I know that, we've got teams out there, they're working really hard. Let's see what happens. But it can't help.
At GB News, we believe in the power of free speech. We're not afraid to ask the tough questions, challenge the status quo, and give you a voice. While others silence dissent, we champion the truth. By becoming a GB News member, you're not just supporting free speech, you're defending it. Please consider supporting us today. Together, we'll hold the powerful to account and make sure that your voice is always heard. Simply go to gbnews.com/support and stand with us for what matters most.